Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Welcome to Performance in Motion with your host, Dr. Dennis.
Okay, folks, we are back for our third segment. It's been a treat so far having Mr. Wade Taylor as my guest and client. I just wanted to go over just a little bit for about 30 seconds or a minute about what the core muscles are. I'm sure a lot of us out there have watched TV, and they mostly point to the abdominal region, which, to be honest with you, that's only parts of the whole. So let's get a visual here. If you took saran wrap and wrapped it around your whole midsection, so that includes the sides, the lower back, from your ribs down to below your belly button to basically your hips, that's part of the core. And then add your hips, so our gluteus max, and all those other muscles. And then with that, from your hips to the base of your skull, you have 3 columns of muscles called the paraspinals. They are the top muscles that keep you standing up straight. So, does that affect posture? Of course. So, as your core is being activated and working properly, you will stand up straighter. And isn't that funny? You'll also walk better. And because you're walking better, your posture is going to be better, so you got to be standing up straighter. So it is a positive cycle, and there are many moving parts that are actually very easy to address. How do you feel about that, Wade?
Well, definitely there's a positive cycle, but as we've kind of talked about what we're talking about, and I don't know if this is necessarily taking it off track, but again, I'm looking at the overall whole and the things that kind of affect those core muscles. So, if I may, I am what's known as a TOFI, okay? There's another show we do here at WS Radio, OCC, the weight loss show, OCC Balance.
Okay.
And a TOFI is thin outside, fat inside.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Where we kind of hide our body fat to a certain extent.
True.
Right? And I've never been overly athletic, but I've always been kind of slim, and I could kind of take solace, if you want to call that, kind of rationalizing, excusing.
Sure.
The fact that even if I had a little bit of a paunch from, say, a slouch or whatever,
right,
if I sucked in my gut,
right,
it was fairly flat. And it's like, see, I'm really not that fat. I'm just kind of a little bit out of shape.
Rationalization, right.
Right. But then there came a day that I couldn't suck in my gut anymore. And it's pushing out over the sides, too. Right?
Right.
And so it's like, okay, wait a minute. And here's one of the things that I noticed, just things that were uncomfortable, is I'll often sleep on my side.
Okay.
Well, suddenly I've got this belly that is kind of hanging over,
right,
as I'm on my side, and it's kind of torquing my spine.
True.
Right?
Right.
And it was hard to get comfortable, and I'm trying to reposition that and everything. And so I mention that because you're talking about the core muscles which have to be developed, but if there's so much, and I'm going to use the word intentionally, crap behind those core muscles that they can't even position themselves right. And so part of what you've had me do is change up my diet. And one thing that I did was cut dramatically back on carbohydrates.
Right.
And I noticed some, but I was really surprised that my girlfriend and some other people went, wow, you've gotten really thin. And it's noticeable there. It's noticeable I don't have that hanging off my belly. I've lost a lot of the stuff that's kind of hanging on the side, overhanging a little bit. And so now as I'm going through these core exercise motions, all the stuff isn't in the way of letting those core muscles do what they do. So I just want to really emphasize, you've got to be hitting it from all the angles. It's all the different things together.
Right. So one of the reasons of the distended belly is inflammation. Okay. And when we have inflammation, that leads to a plethora of diseases. If you were to just Google inflammation, you'd get 5 million things that come up. So with that, I want to make this very clear. Not every carbohydrate is bad. So this is not Atkins, okay? So I just want our listeners out there to understand this. However, for men over 40, we need to be very careful because our metabolism is not what it used to be. And there are certain foods that puff us out like a blowfish. Examples, pretty much anything white. White pasta, white bread, which you shared with me. You're kind of used to that. White potatoes.
Yeah.
And
potatoes and gravy.
Right.
A big plate of pasta, a big bowl of rice with the teriyaki vegetables. And, I had been conditioned to think that was food, right?
Right.
That was the food, and then you threw whatever meat you could afford on top of it. And, oh, by the way, vegetables are kind of pretty, so you might want to sprinkle some of those on it too. And that's kind of the way that I thought. And then you've trained me to go the other way. And so now as I sit down to a meal, I'm thinking, what pastas can I completely eliminate? And if I am in a situation where I'm going to eat some, or I should say carbohydrate, what can I get rid of? How can I take the carbos in that meal as low as possible while simultaneously going, okay, how do I double or triple whatever the vegetables is I'm eating? And just that basic thought process of get away from thinking all those starches are the real food and double and triple down on your veggies.
Right.
And it starts making a difference.
So with everything that you're sharing, antioxidants are anti-inflammatories. What are antioxidants? Basically what you just said, all the vegetables. Cauliflower, broccoli, all the ones that as little kids we really didn't like, but yet the cruciferous vegetables, such as what I just mentioned, anti-everything, anti-cancer, these major diseases, anti-diabetes. Diabetes is on the rise, ladies and gentlemen, and even in children. How many of our children are obese? I'm going to keep this to, we'll have that for another show. But that could be a whole nother show in
that's
itself.
a whole show. And I just want to mention in the last segment, I'm going to share some of the specific things that I've done in making that change. But, fundamentally, the general idea is eat as few carbos as possible, triple down on the veggies, and, just be conscious of it. And that creates literally the space in your gut for the core muscles to then be able to do what they need to do.
And exactly with that, you're creating space throughout your entire body because it's all connected. We were speaking about that fascia earlier.
Oh, yeah.
That netting.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to maybe share too much.
Here we go.
But I've had a couple of surgeries over the past. I had something taken out a while back. And the doctor mentioned, both of them mentioned to a certain extent, but one mainly said, well, good news and bad news is good news is your surgery was really easy because you've got so much fat around your organs that it was like I had big, thick borders to be able to cut through, to be able to extract that. Right. The bad news is you've got so much fat around your organs that that's really not good for you.
Absolutely. We get to a point where based on our activity level, our stress levels, sleeping, and what we eat, if we start to suffocate those major organs in our body, that affects major systems in the body, which then becomes a systemic illness, unhealthiness to many different levels. And not that it's easy to counteract, but we can be proactive about it.
And with your understanding of anatomy, physiology, you've got the medical degree, it allows you to see, kind of in your brain, to see these things that are going on inside our body that we as lay people aren't familiar with. And I just want to stick, to the stomach, for instance. You can do 1 billion setups trying to flatten your stomach. But if you don't do anything to get rid of all the fat around your organs underneath those muscles, you're not going to make any progress. But we don't see that. We don't know that's there.
Right, right. You know, I just think that if we are open to understanding that, just like everything in life, that if we are a student, things change. So we need to learn. Exercise is not a one-size-fits all, number one. Number two, there have been major advances in the past 5 years. And a lot of people that I meet kind of say, well, I did this 30 years ago. Okay, what are your results? And it's not very good. So if we are open to learning and making those changes in our brain, it'll carry over to our quality of life.
Yeah, and, you know, we only have a few seconds here, so just to pay lip service to it, but isn't it fascinating what the, what would they be, molecular biologists or whatever, that are learning about our DNA and about our hormones and epigenetics and the gut biome. You know, like you said, we've had tremendous progress in the past 5 years, and I'm sure part of it's driven by this new data we have from researching all this.
Absolutely, and we'll touch on that in our next segment. And this is Dr. Dennis, and you're listening to WSRadio.com, the worldwide leader in Internet talk, and the toll-free number is 866-277-2346.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, CEO and founder of VinVillage.com and the Wine and Dine Show on Vin Village Radio. Do you have a wine, event, product, or service to promote? Then contact VinVillage.com to reach thousands of wine lovers across the country. VinVillage connects like-minded wine enthusiasts with unique and exclusive wines, events, products, and services. To learn more, contact us on VinVillage.com. VinVillage is where wine lovers connect.
Life is full of misadventures, from car crashes to home fires to getting choked out on the mat. Yes, I said getting choked out because I'm Carlos Kramer, jiu-jitsu competitor, MMA and media personality, and mild-mannered insurance agent. You can follow my adventures on Kick-Ass Radio, and I can protect you from life's misadventures at Kramer Insurance. Home, auto, life, business, and workers' comp. We're at KramerINS.com, and I want you to join my world.
You've heard me bragging about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me feel so much healthier. But one thing, Dr. Agoli, that a lot of people come to you with is just unexplained pain. They just can't get any relief. Why can Progressive Medical Center's Pain Management Center help them?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that pain is for real, and you've got acute pain and chronic pain. Here's the problem. That acute pain turns to chronic, which is long-standing, and no one's getting to the root cause. There's several key diagnostic components that help us get to the root of what's causing this pain. Is it inflammation? Once we do a thorough evaluation to get the root cause, determine if it's structural or if it's a metabolic issue. And this way, we put an individualized program for pain management involving correcting the spine, using certain injections when necessary, and we get our patients out of pain quicker, and they stay out of pain because we teach them how to live their life well.
Don't let yourself live in pain any longer. Get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today at ProgressiveMedicalCenter.com.
Progressive Medical, this is your life, live it well.
Nowadays, internet devices are an integral part of your home. Everyone in your family has a smartphone, tablet, or a computer. Life is easier knowing that all your devices are secured and your family can surf the internet carefree. ESET Multi-Device Security Pack does just that. One license for all your devices. With ESET, it's simple to stay protected and save money. Enjoy safer technology with ESET Multi-Device Security Pack at ESET.com. That's ESET.com.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.